City Attorney West.
Here. Here.
All right, thank you. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve of the agenda? Oh, I see, okay. Moving away. So I'll open it up to public comment. This is where you can say anything to anything at any time. If you have anything to say, please fill out a card. You get 3 minutes to comment, and that's it. Does anybody want to make a comment on anything?
So if we filled out a card, then are you going to call our name then when it's back?
That is correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I see none. I'll close public comment. I'll take a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I can go ahead and move to approve the agenda. I will second that motion.
All right, we got approval by Commissioner Reed, a second by Commissioner Kramer. It doesn't look like we can do it on here, so we'll take a verbal.
Voice vote.
We'll take a voice vote. And everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Elkins?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Is that unanimous?
That was unanimous. And then I'll take an approval for the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission study session held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, and the meeting held on Thursday, February 20th.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Kramer, a second by Commissioner Pritzo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it passes unanimous.
Chair, just a reminder after a motion and a second.
Always ask comment. Okay. All right, public hearing item number 1. PCN 25-002 / CU 25-0002.
Good evening, Chair Rawson, members of the Planning Commission. For the record, Sienna Reed, Planning Manager, here to present this item for your consideration tonight. And that item is a conditional use permit, or CUP request, to allow the intensification of a substandard development that does not meet the 0.5 floor area ratio, or FAR standard, for the MUD-MUC zoning district. This request has been submitted by the Audi Project, which is a joint venture between the Food Bank of Northern Nevada and the Children's Cabinet, and it's seeking to construct a community resource center. On this slide, you can see the proposed site for the Audi Project. It's located north of Audi Boulevard and west of Sullivan Way. The project site is currently developed as a one-story multi-tenant shopping center that was constructed in 1975. The shopping center includes retail spaces that total a little less than 16,000 square feet, as well as a former Albertsons grocery store that totals a bit over 43,000 square feet. And just to orient you to those locations on the slide, this area here is the location of the former Albertsons grocery store, and this location here to the west of the site are the existing retail shops. And together, existing development on the site totals 59,107 square feet, and the FAR for the site is 0.18. So as of today, well below the code standard of 0.5. As proposed, the vacant grocery store, which you can see again outlined here in red, would be demolished and a new 63,547 square foot community resource center constructed. Adding to the existing retail spaces, the new community resource center would result in 79,225 square feet of buildings on the subject site, and that would result in a 0.24 FAR, which, while is less than the 0.5 standard for the zoning district, is certainly an increase on the site. Within the Community Resource Center will be workforce training facilities, a food pantry, commercial kitchen facilities for production as well as teaching, childcare facilities, as well as offices. And as you can see in the front of the center, there's also planned to be a community garden that will take over a portion of the parking lot. On this slide, you can see the preliminary building elevations. The top elevation is the front or south side of the building, and the bottom is the rear or the north side of the building. As you can see, the submitted elevations really incorporate a variety of materials and colors. They demonstrate articulation in plane, both horizontally and vertically. There really is an enhanced visual interest to what is being proposed compared to the current condition. In addition, the south elevation does comply with the zoning district standard that you have 35% of that front facade be transparent. That would be, say, through windows and doors. So that is something that, again, adds additional interest to the building. On this slide, you can see the preliminary landscape plan. It does a good job of showing the location of that proposed community garden on the south side of the building, as well as existing and additional landscaping on the site. There is mature landscaping that is located in the parking lot and along Sullivan Lane and Greenbrae Drive. However, the total area of landscaping on the site and the tree count does not meet today's code standards. That's understandable given the site was developed some time ago. And ultimately, to comply with our code standards for intensification of a substandard development, code requires that 65% of today's code required landscaping be provided, and that is what's being proposed with the landscape plan that's being submitted. All right, so shifting gears here to the conditional use permit findings that the Planning Commission needs to consider this evening. Going to start off with finding C1, which is compliance with our City of Sparks comprehensive plan. Here, the intensification of the site for a community resource center directly advances goals MG4 and policy MG12. Those both support redevelopment, as well as policy MG14 that encourages reinvestment in a variety of corridors, and specifically the Audi Boulevard corridor. The project site is also located in a developed area of the city where city services are already being provided at acceptable service levels, and that supports policy CF1. Moving on to finding C2 that focuses on compatibility with adjacent properties. Here, again, the shopping center proposed for intensification was constructed in 1975. Expanding it to facilitate a community resource center is compatible with the surrounding area, as adjacent uses are already either commercial or multifamily in nature. And the community resource center will generate a smaller number of trips than the former grocery store, so that trip generation impact is less than what previously existed on the site. Looking here at finding C3 that relates to natural resource impairment. Here, this request isn't anticipated to impair the region's natural resources that support population because the proposed building area increase would be just a tiny bit over 20,000 square feet and within a developed site that's already receiving water and sewer services. Looking here at finding C4 that focuses on how identified impacts of the project are addressed. Here, staff identified potential impacts as parking, trip generation, and landscaping. For parking, there was a parking analysis submitted. It identifies that 127 parking spaces are needed to accommodate the existing portion of the building, kind of that western portion with retail shops, and the new community resource center. There are 312 parking spaces available, so there is ample parking, and the site complies with code standards. In addition, a trip generation letter was submitted by the applicant, as I just discussed. It documents that the proposed resource center will generate fewer trips than that former grocery store, and that is a lesser impact. And then, as also just previously discussed, landscaping doesn't meet code standards for today, but they are complying with code and bringing the site up to 65% of landscaping requirements, and that will be installed prior to the issuance of prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy as required by condition of approval number 6. And so as proposed, staff feels that all of the project impacts are addressed as conditioned. And lastly, per finding C5, public notice. Public notice was provided in the Reno Gazette Journal and mailed to 45 separate property owners in compliance with code and state law. And to date, I haven't received any written or any other type of phone correspondence regarding this item. And with that, staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit request with 11 conditions. You have a motion to that effect on this slide. And with that, I will wrap up this presentation and be available for any questions. We also have the applicant's representative here if you have any questions as well.
Thank you, Sienna. Commissioners, do we have any questions for staff? Does the applicant want to add anything?
You got it.
State your name.
Sure. For the record, Jeff Frame, architect with Frame Architecture Incorporated. I always like having Sienna on my projects because she explains them and presents them so thoroughly. And so it also leaves me a little humbled because I don't really have a whole lot to add here, except this is an exciting project to be a part of. I think it's a great community asset, and we're just looking forward to moving to getting under construction.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? All right, this is a public hearing item. Do any of the public want to comment on this particular item? Okay, I see none. I'll close public comment. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve conditional use permit U5-02 associated with PCN 25-0002, adopting findings C1 through C5 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report, subject to the 11 conditions of approval as listed in the staff report.
We'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Kramer, a second by Commissioner Pritzos. Do we have any further discussion, commissioners?
I just want to make a comment. I think this is a wonderful project for the community, not just Spark, but I think the entire Truckee Meadows. I think this is a very, very worthwhile endeavor with the Children's Cabinet and the food bank. I think that it will be a tremendous project, and it will be something that for years to come that I think that we can all be proud of. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I'll take I guess we can't go to, we'll take a verbal vote. All commissioners in favor?
Aye.
Commissioners? Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next is public hearing PCN 18-0062 / CU 25-0003. Or excuse me, CU-001. I jumped ahead of myself.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Just for the record, Kobe Glano, planner here with the City of Sparks. This item is a request for a conditional use permit for the intensification of a non-conforming, legal non-conforming use to allow a 1,557 square foot building expansion on a 0.47 acre site that is located at 1155 Prater Way. The subject site is outlined in red and is located on the corner of Prater Way and 12th Street with Robert Mitchell Elementary across the intersection to the northwest. The existing medical office, Wilmer Inc. Orthodontics, has maintained an active business license with the city as early as 1982, according to city records. The size of the existing medical office is approximately 4,200 square feet. The proposed addition of 1,557 square feet would increase the square footage to approximately 5,800 square feet. The property's land use and zoning were changed with the creation of the mixed-use district and the city's comprehensive plan updates in 2014, which established the MUD-MR, or mixed-use district, mixed residential. It also created the MUD, the mixed-use district zoning district itself. Since that time, Sparks Municipal Code has not permitted new medical offices or office uses within the MUD-MR zoning district, rendering the subject use legal non-conforming. The code does allow for intensification of a legal non-conforming use that exceeds 10% of an increase in size, subject to approval of a conditional use permit. The proposed addition equates to approximately 36% an increase in size. Staff analyzed three main components with this request: landscaping, parking, and architecture. Sites within the MUD-MR zoning district are required to have a minimum of 10% of the site area as landscaping. The site plan provided by the applicant demonstrates that 34% of the site is currently landscaped, demonstrating compliance with that minimum landscaping area requirement. The mature landscaping on site is in great condition and is very well maintained. The landscaping standards specific to the MUD-MR zone do include tree minimums, which requires the site to have at least 13 trees, 3 trees for the site's parking spaces, 4 trees to account for the required landscaping area, and 6 trees to account for the site's linear street frontage. Given the site has 12 existing trees, applying the standard would require the site to have 1 additional tree planted. For the site's parking configuration, the code requires 1 parking space for every 500 square feet of building floor area for medical office uses. Accounting for the proposed addition, the total building area would again be 5,800 square feet, which would require 23 spaces, or excuse me, would require 12 parking spaces to be on the site by code. With construction of the project, a total of 23 parking spaces will be provided. 2 of those spaces will be ADA and van accessible. The existing building located at the site is of a high quality design and has been well maintained throughout the life of the project. The materials consist of stained wood clad siding, large peaked and sled roof lines, glass windows, stone pillars, and stone veneer around the base of the building. The 1,557 square foot proposed addition is proposed to match the existing architecture in terms of color, materials, form, including wood siding and on the upper portion of the building and stone on the lower portion of the building. This can be found on all 4 sides of the building. With the background and analysis concluded, I'll move over to the findings. There's 5 findings that the Planning Commission is required to make in order to approve the conditional use permit. Staff believes the proposed expansion of an existing medical office use in the MUD-MR zone infills a portion of the site that is currently unutilized for additional dental services. Allowing the infill of this portion of the site would support current and future residents within Sparks seeking orthodontic care in support of Policy C7 and Goal MG4. Staff believes the project aims to improve the quality of life for locals by providing this critical service in support of Policy EV8. In further support of Policy C7, a transit stop is located on the northern property line of the property and was recently improved with the construction of the Prater Way Improvements Project. Given the high-quality architecture of the existing building and the proposed addition, and generally low-impact use of a medical office for orthodontic purposes, staff believes the medical office is a benefit to the surrounding mixed-use residential neighborhood, ensuring that it is a desirable place to live in support of Goal H3. For finding C2, the existing uses surrounding the subject site within the mixed-use zoning district include an under-construction townhome development across Prater Way to the north, single-family homes to the east, south, and west, and to the northwest across Prater Way and 12th Street. That intersection there is Robert Mitchell Elementary School in the PF or Public Facilities Zoning District. Staff believes the intensification of a non-conforming medical office use is compatible with the adjacent mixed-use area and elementary school, given that they have been established in this area since 1982, and the building's architecture is of high quality and sensitive to the surrounding area in terms of mass, form, color, and materials. And proposed condition of number 11 would ensure that the building addition does match the existing architecture. For finding C3, the subject site was previously developed in the early 1980s and has operated as a medical office since that time. The potential impairment of natural resources and the total population, which available natural resources will support without reasonable impairment, was previously considered when the site was designated its mixed-use land use designation within the city's comprehensive plan. C4 relates to mitigating impacts through conditions. As previously stated, the mature landscaping on site is in great condition and is well maintained. Here's some photos of the landscaping, although it should be noted that these are taken in the winter. And then here's a summer photo of the building and site. Again, the site has 12 existing trees, and 13 trees are required to meet the minimum tree standards in Sparks Municipal Code. Staff is proposing condition of approval number 5, which would require the applicant to plant 1 new tree on the site. Also proposing condition of approval number 6, which would require the applicant to provide a final landscaping plan to include all the existing and required landscaping prior to the issuance of any permits. Condition of approval number 7, which would require all landscaping be maintained throughout the life of the project, which includes the replacement of any trees or plants that die off. Given the close proximity of the medical office to the residential uses, staff is proposing two conditions to mitigate impacts that could arise during the construction of the project. Condition of approval number 12, which would limit the hours of construction from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever occurs first, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or sunset on Saturday with no work occurring on Sunday. And condition of approval number 13, which would require any generators or similar equipment that's being used during the construction process to be located within the northern portion of the existing parking lot up against kind of Prater Way, that area, to mitigate any potential noise impacts to adjacent residents. And lastly, public notice was sent to 157 property owners and published in RGJ on March 4th. And as of today, staff has received no public comment for the project. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit to intensify the legal non-conforming medical office use. The existing building and landscaping have been well kept, and staff believes the proposed project is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And with that, I'll finish up, and I'm available for any questions, and I believe the applicant is here as well. Yes, Jake.
All right, well, thank you, Colby. Commissioners, do we have any questions for Colby? Staff? No. The applicant, you want to add anything?
All set.
Well said. All right. This is a public hearing item. I will entertain comments from the public on this particular item. Okay, I see none. I will close public comment. I will entertain a motion. Oh, any further discussion, commissioners? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the conditional use permit PCN 14001/CU25-0001, a request for intensification of a non-conforming use to allow a 1,557 square foot building expansion on a 0.47 acre site located at 1155 Prater Way based on findings C1 through C5 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report is subject to the 13 conditions of approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Pritzos and a second by Commissioner Sperber. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion? All right, we'll have to take a verbal vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. All right, we're on to the next one. So we're on to PCN 18-0062/CU25-003.
Great. Thank you again, Chair Rawson and members of the Planning Commission. For the record, Sienna Reed, Planning Manager. With your permission, Mr. Chair, this presentation will cover 3 agenda items for a site located at 800 Holman Way. That would be agenda item 7.3, 7.4, and 7.5.
All right, thank you.
So what has been submitted for the site at 800 Holman Way are, as I just said, are 3 requests. The first is a comprehensive plan amendment, the second is a rezoning, and the third is a conditional use permit. Notably, the applicant has requested that these 3 items be concurrently processed. And so what that means is that final action will be taken by the City Council. Typically, the Planning Commission action on a conditional use permit request is final. However, because all of the requests are being heard on the same timeframe with the same approval process, City Council will be taking final action on the conditional use permit. And I'll certainly go through the procedures again at the end of this presentation, but do just want to remind the Commission and the public that each of these items are separate. They will have an individual separate public hearing for each of them. All right, so getting started, on this slide, you can see the subject site is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Pyramid Way and Holman Way. The subject site is just under 6 acres in size and developed with 4 buildings that were constructed between 1966 and 2020. A Scolari's grocery store is located in the western portion of the parcel. It's in approximately this location that you can see here. And Scolari's grocery store has had a non-restricted gaming license since 1979. So non-restricted gaming at the site was legally established and is considered non-conforming with the site's current C2 zone. The area that was dedicated to non-restricted gaming increased from a bit over 1,100 square feet to a bit over 3,100 square feet in 2012. And then in 2019, the non-restricted gaming use was further increased to its current size of 7,891 square feet. That was with the approval of a conditional use permit to expand a non-conforming use, very much like the conditional use permit that you just approved in the previous item. And so it's in that 7,891 square foot space that JJ's Gaming is operating. A mix of higher density residential and commercial uses surround the subject site. As you can see in the aerial image there, excuse me, to the north are townhomes, a gas station, car wash, and office. Townhomes are also located to the west of the site. And then to the south across Holman Way, there are duplexes as well as Burgess Park. And to the east across Pyramid Way, there are single-family residences as well as a car wash. Focusing on the first request for 800 Holman Way is the comprehensive plan amendment that would change the land use designation on the subject site from commercial to tourist commercial. The current commercial comprehensive plan land use designation supports a really wide range of commercial, office, lodging, entertainment, institutional, and multifamily residential uses. The proposed tourist commercial land use designation also supports that range of uses, but it is more focused on tourist-oriented activities, including non-restricted gaming. And pursuant to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan, the tourist commercial land use designation is generally located adjacent to the I-80 freeway corridor as well as the Truckee River. However, there are only 5 locations in the city designated tourist commercial, and you can see those on the slide overhead. 3 of these locations are located adjacent to I-80. This includes the Wild Island Adventure Park area here, as well as Western Village here, and an undeveloped portion of Copper Canyon here. The other 2 locations in the city aren't located near the I-80 freeway corridor or the Truckee River. This includes the Baldini site located in our industrial area, as well as an undeveloped portion of the Tierra del Sol planned development that sits east of Pyramid Way and west of the Stonebrook planned development. Now, these 2 locations are dispersed throughout the city along major arterials. And as proposed, changing the comprehensive plan land use designation would reflect the existing pattern of lands designated tourist commercial in the city by creating a new tourist commercial designated area adjacent to Pyramid Way, which is a major arterial as well as a state highway.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, to start back up, the second request for the Planning Commission's consideration this evening is the rezoning request. As proposed, it would rezone the subject site from C2 or general commercial to TC or tourist commercial. On this slide, you can see the uses that are permitted in both the C2 and TC zones. As you can see on this slide, there are a variety of residential, commercial, and institutional uses that are permitted in both zones, either by right or with a conditional use permit. Whether it be multifamily or retail or restaurants or bars or theaters, the C2 and TC zones both allow a very wide range of uses. However, the current C2 zone allows 28 uses that are not permitted in the proposed TC zone. Some of these uses include animal services, payday loan establishments, auto detail, auto and truck repair, college, school, social assistance, welfare and charitable services, hospital, hospice, medical offices, mini warehouse, data processing, and urban agriculture. Alternatively, there are 2 uses permitted in the proposed TC zone that are not allowed under the current C2 zone. These include exhibition, convention, or conference facility, and gaming establishment, non-restricted. So just to sum up there, both the C2 and TC zones allow a very wide range of uses. The C2 zone actually allows more uses than the proposed TC zone, but the TC zone does permit those 2 uses that are more tourist oriented. That would be the non-restricted gaming and basically a conference facility. And then the third request for 800 Holman Way is a conditional use permit request to allow the currently operating gaming establishment as a primary use in the proposed TC zone. Again, the existing gaming establishment, which is JJ's Gaming, is operating as a legally established non-conforming use that was expanded to its current size in 2019. JJ's Gaming is located in the westernmost portion of the shopping center at 800 Holman Way. It is, as you can see here, walled off from the Scolari's grocery store to the east, and no expansion is proposed with the CUP request. The total parking demand for all tenants on the site is 179 parking spaces. There are 284 spaces available on the site, and the parking for the subject site does comply with code standards. And as no increase in the size of the non-restricted gaming use is proposed, there is no change to trip generation for the subject site. There was a traffic letter that was submitted with the application. Really, it's in place to document the trips that are associated with all uses on the site currently, again, because there is no expansion, there is no change to trips proposed. All right, so at this point, we'll move into the required findings that the Planning Commission needs to consider this evening. And because we have 3 requests, it will take a little bit of time to walk through. We've tried to group findings where we can. And so first off, we'll be taking the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning findings. Those are grouped together thematically, but we will have the separate findings for the conditional use permit that follow them. So to start off with our findings for conformance and consistency, first off, we have finding CP1. It requires that the comprehensive plan land use change before you tonight conform with the land use and intensity designation in the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. Here, the subject site has a Tier 1 designation per the regional plan. Properties in that designation are predominantly developed with a range of residential and non-residential uses, and there are no minimum standards or any other limitations on non-residential properties. So as proposed, the comprehensive plan land use change before you tonight supports the continued use of the site for commercial purposes in a location where public services and facilities already exist. That complies with the intent and standards for Tier 1 and the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. On this slide, we have finding CP2 that requires the comprehensive plan amendment implement the goals of our comprehensive plan, and finding Z1 that requires the rezoning be consistent with our comprehensive plan. Here, both the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning would maintain the opportunity to establish a range of commercial, office, lodging, entertainment, institutional, and multifamily residential uses. The proposed tourist commercial designation and zoning would, however, as we've been discussing, expand opportunities for tourist-related activities, including unrestricted gaming, that supports goals MG1 and MG2 that are related to non-residential land uses and land use diversity in the city. As the site is located in a previously developed area, city services are already being provided at acceptable service levels in support of policy CF1 as well. Moving on to compatibility, the findings on this slide focus on compatibility with surrounding land uses, finding CP3 for the comprehensive plan amendment and finding Z2 for the rezoning. As just discussed, both the existing and proposed land uses support, again, that wide variety of commercial, office, lodging, entertainment, institutional, and multifamily uses. And changing the comprehensive plan land use and zoning for the subject site as proposed is compatible with surrounding land use designations and developed uses that are generally commercial or middle density housing products. Properties to the north and west are designated commercial and zoned MF2 and also developed with townhomes. There is additionally properties to the north that are designated commercial and zoned C1. Those are developed with a gas station, car wash, and office. Properties to the south are designated community facility and MF14. They're zoned PF and MF2 and developed with Burgess Park and duplexes. And then properties to the east are designated commercial and intermediate density residential, zoned C2 and SF6, and developed with a car wash and detached single-family homes. The lands that are designated IDR and zoned SF6 and ultimately developed with single-family homes are on the east side of Pyramid Way, and Pyramid Way would act as a buffer between the IDR land use and the proposed tourist commercial designation. Findings CP4 and Z3 that you can see on this slide both require public notice be provided in compliance with code and state law. And for the comprehensive plan land use amendment, the statutorily required neighborhood meeting was conducted by the applicant's representative last week on March 13th. There were 10 members of the public that attended that meeting. Attendees did express a variety of concerns regarding the request. These include topics such as the location of a casino near residences, potential future intensification of the site, increased traffic, potential increased crime, impacts to property values, and potential impacts to the existing grocery store. In addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal, and mailed notice was provided to 285 individual property owners within 750 feet of the site. All right, so here we have our conditional use permit findings. The first finding is C1, which is compliance with the comprehensive plan. Here, the non-restricted gaming use can be viewed as supporting economic vitality and land use mix diversity in support of goals MG1 and MG2. Again, the site is located in a developed area already served by services at acceptable service levels in support of policy CF1. Finding C2 that you can see on this slide also focuses on compatibility with adjacent properties. Here, the CUP request seeks to establish a currently operating non-restricted gaming use as a conforming use within the TC zone. There is no expansion of the non-restricted gaming use that's proposed, and staff believes the proposed use is compatible with the uses of adjacent properties that you can see on this slide. Looking at finding C3, this relates to natural resource impairment. This request isn't anticipated to impair the region's natural resources that support population. This is because the non-restricted gaming use already exists. It's not proposed to be expanded and is already receiving water and sewer service to the site. Finding C4 focuses on how identified impacts of the project will be addressed. Here, staff identified parking and traffic as potential project impacts. As previously discussed, the site requires 179 parking spaces. There are 284 available. Adequate parking that complies with code is provided. And again, there's no increase that would trigger a requirement for any additional parking spaces. With no change to the square footage of the non-restricted gaming use, additionally, no impact to traffic generation would occur. And in staff's opinion, as proposed and conditioned, all impacts are addressed. And lastly, per finding C5, public notice was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal and mailed to 285 separate property owners in compliance with code and state law. To date, 3 written public comments in opposition have been submitted. 2 of those were provided to you in advance of study session. Another one came in today and has been printed out at your place. I did receive 1 phone call that was requesting additional information about this set of requests, but there was no opposition or favors identified in that call. Ultimately, staff is recommending the Planning Commission approve the comprehensive plan amendment and forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council for the rezoning requests. You have suggested motions for the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning requests on this slide as well as in your packet. Staff is also recommending approval of the CUP request with 3 conditions, and you have a motion to that effect on this slide. With that, I'll conclude this presentation, be available for any questions the Commission may have. Notably, the applicant's representative is also here with us this evening if you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Sienna. So there's 3 items she addressed. PCN 18-0062/CU25003, conditional use permit, PCN 18-0062, MPA 25-001, amending the comprehensive plan, and then PCN 18-0062/RZ25-001, a rezoning. So commissioners, do we have any questions? Yes,
Mr. Chair, so if we could, let's call the 7.4, just call the item, open it up for public comment, let that occur. If there's public comment, they can comment that, close it.
go to the
Good.
next one.
Yep. If we
Okay.
need to do, there's a recommended motion for each one.
Sure.
The commission needs to handle it one by one. if
One by
possible.
one, yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
All right. So we'll start with PCN 18-0062/CU 25-003. I'll open this up. This is the conditional use permit to public hearing. Does anybody have comments on this particular item?
Gary, you open the public hearing at your discretion. Occasionally, you ask the applicant if they'd like for the.
Okay. All right. Does the applicant want to speak?
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chairman, Commission, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Rundle. For the record, Garrett Gordon, local land use attorney. Today I have the pleasure of representing the Scalari's family, Jerry and Joey Scalari. Before you is a request to really memorialize the status quo. And when I went and did the neighborhood meeting, I promised I'd answer a couple questions on the record today. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may do
Thank
that to keep my commitment. So number one was a question, does this application expand gaming? And the answer is absolutely not. That was stated in your staff report, stated by Sienna, stated by here on the record. This does not expand gaming. We are not requesting any expansion of gaming. It actually memorializes and codifies 7,891 square feet. That's the current square footage. If I'm successful tonight, that will remain the square footage. And if that ever changed, I would have to come back before this process and before you and address every single comment that you're going to hear tonight from staff, from the public about what concerns they would have if it was expanded. They're all very articulate comments, I think all genuine comments, and ones I would have to address if there was ever a reason or a plan to come back before you. So that was number one. Two is back to the application avoids future entitlements. I would say, just so the record's clear, no, I'd have to come back before this body for any future entitlements. Three, there's no reason to do this at this time. A couple reasons. One, kind of aging myself here, but I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've routinely in Washoe County, City of Reno, and even Sparks years ago, it's always better for a property owner to have a conforming project, conforming business, conforming land use. You fill out paperwork all the time on your properties, and if you're checking the box of non-conforming or grandfathered, it's just better to be legal. And your own code encourages or actually discourages these non-conforming uses. They want them conforming. So that's why we're moving forward today to make this conforming. And finally, we have to deal with state gaming regulators and routinely renew licenses and disclose the status of the property. You know, we always have to disclose this is a non-conforming gaming property in Sparks. It's a lot better to check the box. It's conforming. We have a use permit, and it memorializes exactly what we're doing today. So a number of reasons why to do this today. I commit to you, if and when we expanded, which again, for the record, there is no intent whatsoever. And if I show up next week with an application, I'll probably get hammered by all of you, but there's no intention whatsoever. And I would give you my word, if there ever was, I would work with every single person behind me with the comments that they're going to make tonight to make sure we get it right. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission, for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant?
And Mr. Chairman, one more comment, if I may.
Okay.
I appreciate Sienna mentioning why we bundled this. We certainly could have piecemealed it and just hit Planning Commission with one item and gotten our approval and went to council, but we thought in transparency, due process, making sure everyone had an opportunity to speak on every application, we put them together for you tonight.
All right, thank you.
Jules, this is Ricky. I'd like to make a comment.
Commissioner Elkins, just one moment. Commissioner Sperber's making a comment.
Okay.
So in the future, if gaming did want to be back for this body,
Through you, Mr. Chair, if there is a future expansion, an amendment to the conditional use permit would be required. There would be additional public hearings, additional impacts evaluated, and a public process.
Commissioners, any more questions? Commissioner Elkins?
Yes, thank you, I appreciate it. So, and he, I think, answered the question that I had from our workshop, was there a gaming requirement? And at least now, I better understand that there's not a requirement, but, when you're having to constantly fill out the form and it says non-conforming, it's more suitable if it's a conforming property. So thank you for answering that for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Sienna. Commissioners, any more questions? All right, so we'll open up PCN 18-0062/C2-25003 for public comment. And that is on the conditional use permit. Does anybody from the public want to comment on that particular issue? All right, I see none. I will close public comment. I will entertain a motion. That one is.
Can I have just to clarify, either Mr. Rundle or our attorney, is there a specific order do we need to approve the plan amendment before the conditional use permit, or does it not really matter what order we do this in? I just want to make sure we're doing it in a
Unless
sensible order.
Mr. Rundle disagrees, I think we can take them as they are on the agenda items, and so of course we've got to take them as the agenda lays out.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, good question.
All right, ready?
Go ahead, Shelley.
Okay. I move to forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council of CU 25-0003 to allow a non-restricted gaming establishment within a 7,891 square foot tenant space located at 800 Holman Way, adopting findings C1 through C5, and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report, subject to the 3 conditions of approval as listed in the staff report.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Kramer, a motion by Commissioner Reed, a second by Commissioner Kramer. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion on this item? I see none. We'll take a vote. We'll take a verbal vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to PCN-18-0062/MPA 25-001. This is a request to amend the comprehensive plan. Is there any comment from the public on this particular item on the comprehensive plan? I see none. I will close public comment. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will make that motion. I move to adopt resolution number 242, adopting the comprehensive plan use amendment MPA 25-0001 associated with PCN 18-0062, amending the comprehensive plan use designation for 800 Holman from commercial to tourist commercial based on findings CP1 through CP4 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report.
I'll second that.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Kramer, a second by Commissioner Pritzel. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion? All right, we'll take a verbal vote. Commissioners, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Next, we'll go on to PCN 18-0062/RZ25-001. And this is for the rezoning from general commercial to tourist commercial. I will open up public comment. Do we have any public comment on this particular item? All right, I see none. I will close public comment. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council of RZ 25-0001, a request to rezone the site located at 800 Holman Way from C2 to TC based on findings Z1 through Z3 and the facts supporting these findings as outlined in the staff report.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Reed, a second by Commissioner Pritzo. I will take any discussion on this item. All right, we'll take a verbal vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, it passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like to just make one final comment on this. Sienna, great job on this. I know that there was a lot of work involved in this, and I just want to commend you on all the work that you did just to bring this all together. So thank you.
Thank you, Sienna. All right, next item, PCN 21-0008/AX 21-001.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Scott Carey, Development Services Manager. Last but certainly not least on the agenda tonight is the Andelin Farms list of land use entitlements. Just from a procedural standpoint, very similar to the last item, there's 4 separate actions this body will be recommending to the City Council on. We have an annexation request, a master plan or comprehensive plan amendment, a rezone, and tentative approval or approval of a tentative handbook. And if it's okay with you, Mr. Chair, I'll be combining items 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, and 7.9 into one presentation, doing my best to combine the
Thank you.
findings.
Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Outlined here in red is the subject site that we know as the Andelin Family Farms. It's a 164.9 acre site located in the Spanish Springs Valley. Just to orient you to the north, east, and west of the subject site is surrounded by the Stonebrook Plan Development. To the south is the Pioneer Meadows Plan Development, and also kind of kitty corner to it is the Lazy Five Regional Park. A little bit of background on this item. The city has been working with the Andelin family since 2021 on these land use amendments. And working to bring this property into the city and come up with a project that meets the vision for the Andelin family and provides for good planning for the city. The ranch that we now know as the Andelin Family Farms began in 1917 with the Gaspari family transforming sagebrush into alfalfa fields and feed for cattle and milk cows. In 1982, the Gasparis sold the ranch to the Andelin family. The site is best known today as the Andelin Adventure Farm. Owners Cameron and Natalie Andelin opened up this adventure farm in 2009. It's been a well-received community asset. This slide is an overview of the site as it exists today, the entire farm. Outlined here in pink is the area that's commonly referred to as the adventure farm. This is where the corn maze is, this is where the petting zoo is, and those sorts of activities. Here in the middle, outlined in gray, is the main ranch house. And then in the light blue here in the upper northwest corner of the site is an alfalfa field that's used most of the time throughout the year, but during seasonal events, it's currently used for parking. Here in yellow are 3 existing single-family residences that are on the site, as well as some supporting accessory buildings for the farm. And you have livestock fields and agricultural fields on the southern half of the site. Really, the main reason why this project is here today is to bring this property into the city of Sparks, to allow for the Adventure Farm to continue to grow and provide for this public services and public safety resources that are needed to expand the activities of the farm, as called out in the vision. And also on the southern end of the site, the concept is this outlined here is the future extension of Stonebrook Parkway. Right now, it ends on the east and west of the site. The southern half, 49 acres, would be for single-family residential. It's a very unique project. Traditionally, the city of Sparks has gone into the Spanish Springs Valley, has annexed farms, and have developed them. For the large part, the purpose of this project is to annex this property into the city of Sparks to maintain the farm. So I want to dive into the annexation request. The proposed annexation request is to bring the 164.9 acres into the city of Sparks. There are 4 findings that are required for an annexation. It's been a couple years since the city's annexed property, so I'll do my best to provide a good overview here. The first finding is that it conforms with the requirements of NRS Chapter 278. The property, as outlined here in green and surrounded by this gray, is contiguous to the city limits on all 4 sides. This annexation request is also 100% is requested by 100% of the property owners, and it is a voluntary annexation request. With respect to finding A3, that's conformance with the city's comprehensive plan. This property has been within this Sparks sphere of influence since the program was created in 1991. And since that time, the city has exerted planning jurisdiction over the site and has identified this area for many years for future growth and has been included in subsequent master plan updates. Finding 2 is that it conforms to the annexation findings of Sparks Municipal Code. There's quite a few items that are related to this finding. The first such is that it's contiguous on all 4 sides to the city limits. Currently, this property is operating as what we call a county island, and that it's surrounded by the city. The annexation of this property would bring it into the city and would eliminate this county island. The Truckee Meadows Regional Plan also identifies this area as being within the Truckee Meadows service area and has long been anticipated for regional growth. The other aspects of finding A2 are the additional city services. Additional water and sewer lines will be required to be installed to accommodate future development on the site. Future water will be provided by Truckee Meadows Water Authority, and future sewer service would be provided by the city of Sparks. In support of goal MG7 of the city's master plan, that this would help provide, that there is adequate services being able to be provided on the subject site. The kind of last slide here with finding A2 is respect to the fiscal impact analysis that was developed for this entitlement request. According to the fiscal impact analysis, over a 20-year period, it is projected to generate a revenue surplus to the city's general fund of $8.6 million over a 20-year period. Subsequently, this fiscal impact analysis also identified that this development would bring forth a deficit to the city's road fund of $6.9 million over a 20-year period. When looking at the overall general fund aspect to it and subtracting the road fund, it would result in a $1.7 million fiscally positive impact to the city. So therefore, staff can make finding A2. Upon annexation, the site would convert from Washoe County A7 agricultural zoning to City of Sparks zoning of A40. That's our agricultural zoning districts. This annexation request has been done in coordination with Washoe County planning staff. We did not receive any objections from Washoe County. And I will note that this project, since it's been in the sphere of influence, is not included in any county community management plan. I'd like to now move into the comprehensive plan and the rezone request. This slide is demonstrating the proposed land uses associated with this project. On the left-hand side here is the current land use configuration. It's primarily consisting of 152.8 acres of low-density residential and 3.7 acres of open space. On the right here is the proposed land use amendment. It would encompass 107 acres of commercial, that's outlined here in the orange. And the southern half, the 49 acres, would be intermediate density residential. And throughout the entire site would be 8.6 acres of open space. That's to provide a buffer along to the adjacent residential uses from the future adventure farm. With respect to the zoning request, if the annexation is approved, it would automatically be zoned into the city upon annexation with the A40. That's on the left here, identified in pink. The applicant is proposing to rezone the entire subject site from the A40 to the north part, where the adventure farm would be, to be covered by a planned development handbook with a planned development or PD zoning. The southern half would have a SF6 zoning district. The SF6 zoning district is the largest zoning district in the city of Sparks. It's primarily used for single-family residential. So to kind of jump into the comprehensive plan and the rezone findings, the first couple deal with the city's comprehensive plan and the regional plan. Finding CP1 is with the regional plan. This project is part of, it's been designated as Tier 2 within the regional plan. The proposed intermediate density residential and the commercial land uses are in compliance with the regional plan Tier 2 land use designation. As outlined in the analysis section of the staff report for both the comprehensive plan amendment and the rezone, the proposed modifications to the comprehensive plan are compatible with regards to existing densities and intensities of the surrounding uses. Findings CP2 from the comprehensive plan amendment and Z1 from the rezone request deal with consistency with the City of Sparks comprehensive plan. As outlined in both of these staff reports, the proposed project meets the following goals: MG2, MG7, CF1, CC1, and Policy H1. Staff finds that the proposed comprehensive plan amendment and the rezone represents a logical area for future growth for the city, and it'd be done in an area where adequate facilities have been planned for and capacity exists. And furthermore, staff finds that the preservation of the farm would advance goal CC1, and that's the one with the city of choice, by preserving a unique recreational asset. Both the comprehensive plan amendment and the rezoning require a finding of compatibility with surrounding land uses. As I mentioned before, to the north, we have single-family residential as part of the Stonebrook Plan Development. There is also a public facility land use called out here that's been anticipated for future elementary school. To the west are intermediate density residentials, which have been developed within the Stonebrook Plan Development with single-family residential uses. To the east are single-family residential uses within Stonebrook as well, too. To the south, there's a green area here that's outlined for EC. That EC stands for Employment Center. That's the area that the city has designated for future business park and warehousing uses. There's also single-family residential to the south. Kitty corner here is Lazy 5 Regional Park. So with respect to finding CP3 from the Comprehensive Plan Amendment, as proposed, the redesignation of the subject site from primarily low-density residential to the proposed intermediate-density residential, commercial, and open space land uses will allow for more concentrated single-family residential development along the southern portion of the site and allow for the development of the remaining areas to remain agricultural with supporting commercial uses. With respect to finding Z2, the redesignation of the former site from A40 to the proposed SF6 and PD zoning will allow for more concentrated single-family residential on the southern portion of the site and allow for the development of the remaining areas with the agricultural and supporting commercial uses. Both the annexation, the comprehensive plan, and the rezone request have findings related to public noticing. I will note for the record that on February 19th, the applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting at the Spanish Springs Library to discuss the proposed entitlements. The Planning Commission meeting tonight and the future City Council meetings function as public hearings for this item. All neighbors within 750 feet, which included 661 property owners, were notified of this action. And notice of tonight's public hearing was published in the Reno Gazette Journal on March 4th. To date, staff has received 5 citizen inquiries related to this item. 2 of those inquiries were for additional information about the project. And then we did receive 3 public comments. 1 was in opposition and 2 public comments were in support. I believe those are part of the meeting packet for tonight. Last but certainly not least is the tentative handbook request associated with this. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have some colors called out here. The northern half, so 115.89 acres of the Andelin Farm, that's basically the area that was north of the future extension of Stonebrook Parkway, are proposed to be included within a planned development. The primary rationale for this planned development is to allow for the unique agritourism use to come into the city of Sparks and to grow its operation while maintaining public safety and adequate services. Given that the zoning code today does not include agritourism use, the proposed handbook would allow the applicant to establish this use, and then also the handbook would allow for, would call out specific standards that would need to be maintained in order to further develop that use. Another key consideration with the proposed plan development handbook is to establish alternative parking standards for special events. Currently, the Sparks Municipal Code for parking lots does not allow for fields to be used for parking. It requires strict paving and drainage requirements. This handbook would allow for alternative paving standards to allow for, during seasonal events at the Adventure Farm, to allow for parking in the field as it is today for the most part. This handbook does call out for a maximum of 80 days per year that the area would be used for parking, while maintaining that the rest of the year it would be used as a field for alfalfa production. One unique aspect of the proposed handbook that staff would like to highlight for the meeting today is that it does have a requirement for a minimum of 50 acres of the agritourism land use to remain on the site and to not be developed. The intent behind this is to recognize the history of agricultural uses within the Spanish Springs Valley. So there are 7 findings that are required for a tentative handbook. The first finding is PD1, and that is consistent with the objectives of NRS 278-150. The primary objective of the proposed plan development is to preserve the farm and offer the public an opportunity to experience seasonal changes to the various festivals and family attractions that are found within the Adventure Farm. The development plan included in the handbook would allow for existing activities in the farm to continue to operate, but also allow for those expansion of those activities. By introducing a new land use type within the handbook, agritourism, the plan ensures that the preservation of the land's historical agricultural use will be maintained and be able to be grown in the future. Finding PD2, this is with respect to departure from zoning and regular subdivision regulations. Staff finds that the shift to less restrictive development standards to allow for the agritourism and supporting commercial uses is in the public's best interest, as it increases compatibility with surrounding land uses and encourages fiscally responsible development. Furthermore, staff finds that the proposed plan development handbook allows for the subject site to contribute to a diverse mix of land uses, enhancing economic vitality and providing additional recreational resources to this area of the city. Finding PD3 is that's the ratio of residential and non-residential uses. On the northern half of the development that would be covered by this plan development, there's no additional residential development proposed. There is the one main ranch house, and then the three existing residences. So a total of 4 would be allowed to be continued moving forward. The southern half is not covered by this handbook, and that would be future development under a tentative map request. So the proposed development is not intended to provide any additional new residential uses and is intended to allow new uses in support of the agritourism use and supporting commercial uses as well too. Finding PD4, it deals with common open space. Although not explicitly labeled as common open space, the majority of the 100 acres of the proposed agritourism land use in the handbook will remain as open space. The handbook also includes the requirement that a minimum of the 50 acres of the agricultural land would remain moving forward. PD5 is public services. As outlined in the infrastructure section of the handbook, all properties included in the handbook shall participate in the city's impact fee service area number 1 program. As part of this, with future development, Stonebrook Parkway would be constructed to support the future development. Staff will note that when Stonebrook Parkway was constructed, it was adequately sized for pipes and additional infrastructure to support future development in this area. Fire and police protection would be provided by the city of Sparks, which is already providing services to the surrounding properties, and the new developments would be further evaluated during the entitlement process or during the building permit process. PD6 is the relationship to the neighborhood. The 100-acre agritourism land use within the proposed handbook would allow for uses to intend to preserve the farm. The proximity to the adjacent development areas within the city will enable to allow for the farm to continue to serve the residents in this city. The final handbook finding is PD7, and that's the interest of the public, residents, and owners of the proposed handbook. Future development and other uses would require an administrative review, as outlined in the handbook. This handbook allows for additional protections for the public, residents, and property owners by allowing for new landscaping standards, screening standards, and requirements for outdoor storage. There's maximum event capacity restrictions based on infrastructure. There's limits on amplified speech. There's dark sky compliance and outdoor lighting standards, parking standards, and timely manure removal requirements and standards for the keeping of livestock and other animals. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any technical questions from the commission.
Thank you, Scott. Commissioners, do we have any questions for Scott?
Thank you.
The big one. Is the applicant here? Do they want to add?
Yeah, the applicant is here, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that. They do have a short presentation.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Eric Hasty. I'm with Wood Rogers. I'm representing the applicant, the Andelin family. Cameron Andelin's also here with me today. I'm going to try not to be too repetitive. I think Scott did a really good job, especially going over the findings. So I just have a short presentation that I'd like to go through and just kind of give you guys a little bit more background and then kind of understand the reasoning behind these requests. Again, so the overall goal of this is to really establish something that started over 100 years ago. This land has been farmed for over 100 years now, and the goal is to continue this legacy into the future. And not only that, but invite the community to come and enjoy part of this as well. So really this whole history of the site has really only been owned by 2 families. And the Andelin family has owned that since 1980. And then they, like Scott said, they started the inviting the public to the site around 2010. And so for the last 15 years, when they've done this, they've had to apply for a permit every time. So it's a temporary permit for this to happen. And so in order for this to continue, and now that it's become such a big community amenity, they would like to kind of continue this into the future as a legacy for not only what's gone on in this area, but just what they have also created. Again, so just going through, we are asking for 4 things, but really the one that we're coming down to, and really what it boils down to, is the development handbook, and I will get into that. So as we go through this, you can see that the city has really developed around this. This is pretty much all farmland at one time, and when we submitted this 4 years ago, right, this application 4 years ago, most of these parcels weren't even here that are adjacent to this. So as the city has really kind of grown around it, the Andelins are trying to adapt to those conditions. And it makes sense for them to be within the city of Sparks because they're completely surrounded by Sparks. It makes sense for the Sparks services to serve future development as they look to grow what they started. And then again, I would like to point out too that the comprehensive master plan that we are proposing has that open space buffer around the commercial. And this is in compliance with the design standards that are outlined in the handbook that would require a buffer of 60 feet around the commercial. This buffer would really prevent any buildings from being built there. You still might have farming activities or infrastructure going in there, but it's really to prevent the buildings from being constructed there. And then looking at the zone change, the SF zoning designation for the 49 acres of the residential to the south, that is really in that 6,000 square foot lots is really in conformance with what is surrounding there to the south, to the east, and to the west. And so this SF6 zoning designation will be dictated by city code. So this isn't going under the handbook. Anything that's in the blue will be covered in the handbook. And so getting into the handbook, as Scott was saying, this will establish the adventure farm use, and that's the use that we have called it. And it was hard to get to that situation because it's not really a farm, because it invites the public to there, and it's not really an amusement park or a park because they're only there for a temporary period of time. And so how do you allow that to happen within the city of Sparks that doesn't allow that use currently? So that was the main reason why we needed to establish this handbook. So there are different things that call out seasonal uses as well as year-round uses. And there's different development standards that are going to be required for each of those in the future. As Scott said too, we are doing 100 acres of what we're calling agritourism, and this is and then commercial, 16 acres of commercial. And the development standards that are within within the handbook really will drive how these things look. So in the future, looking at the design standards, whether it's in the commercial or agritourism, there are 2 different sets of design standards for each. So each one has its own set of setbacks, landscaping standards, all that stuff that's outlined in the handbook. We also did a site circulation, which kind of shows the backbone infrastructure of how this will look once it's completely developed. And so within here, these are really considered the private drives or private driveways. So they will be maintained by the master developer, and there will be a connection to Stonebrook, the future Stonebrook Parkway. It's anticipated that the connection to Stonebrook Parkway will be built with the development of the residential to the south. However, there are triggers within the handbook of once a certain amount of commercial is added, then they will have to make this full connection that you're seeing here. So currently, everybody enters into the property from Andelin Drive. In the future, it's going to be through the extension of Stonebrook Parkway. As Scott said, we do have additional parking standards. There will be some permanent parking that will have to be provided for the year-round uses. So anything that gets added into the agricultural area, agritourism area. And then there will be an area that is allowed for temporary parking. And this is identified in this hatch area. So anywhere outside of that area, there won't be any parking or anything going on. As Scott said, that's limited to 80 days a year. Some of the buffering, some of the landscape standards that we amended as well, really just go along with being able to use agricultural fields as in turn for the standards for landscaping. So instead of having, trees and everything like that, like if we develop this under the city's code standards, we'd have to have 20% of the site, have formal landscaping, drip irrigation and trees like that. So we had to modify the landscape standards and allow for that. In the commercial area, this will be more of actual traditional commercial area that you see. So these are supporting neighborhood uses and stuff like that. So that will be parked very similar to what is required in city code in the commercial area, as well as landscaped. Everywhere outside of the agritourism area will still have the same look and feel of the farm today. So here's just an example of some of the uses that are proposed or that are going to be allowed in the handbook if this is approved. And the complete list can be seen on page 16 and 17. But again, you can see that the adventure farm use, which is highlighted there, is permitted in the agritourism as well as the commercial. And so they will have, if this goes forward through the city council, the Andelins will then have to come in and apply for an AR. Any one of these other uses are going to, if it's permitted, it'll have to go through an administrative review. There are some things that are conditional use permits. But you can see that most of these things that we are proposing are supportive of the types of events that are going on today. Again, there is some phases and some maxing of how many guests would be allowed at the Andelin Family Farm. And so when they go to the process of doing the administrative review, they will have to declare whether they want to go to phase 1 or phase 2. These were really based on the traffic report that was submitted with the handbook. And so the 2,000 people was the max that was ever recorded at Andelin Family Farm at one time, and that was during the COVID. So the COVID area, so we don't anticipate that they will go above that, but there is room for future growth. Seasonal festivals will be limited to 18 weeks per year. And then, as Scott said, there will be 50 acres that will be dedicated to agriculture through the life of this. So, that kind of concludes my presentation. I would like to also point out that the Andelins, they do have, they've garnered a lot of community support, and since they've kind of proposed this, they do have a petition that has about almost 2,700 signatures on it right now that is in favor of this project. So I know there's a lot here. There's a lot in the handbook. So if there's anything specific that I could help answer, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant? I see none. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to address each item individually. So we'll start with the annexation. That's PCN 21-008/8 AX 21-001. I'll open it up for public comment, and I have 2 comments on annexation. I have Lonnie Elkins? Lynette Elkins? Okay, and then who's Lonnie? So you're just going to speak once?
No, I'm going to speak.
Okay, so whoever wants to come up first, come on up. You get 3 minutes to comment. And state your name.
I'm Lonnie Maloney, and I own on Red Loam Road. I just moved in 7 months ago, and I was told nothing was going to be, I wish I would have known about all this for 4 years. Felt like I was lied to. So we bought a premium lot so I could look over the pumpkins, the tulips, and all that. And then I get this. This is the only notice I had. Didn't get the other notice for wherever the other meeting was. And I love Andelin Farms. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter. Love taking her there. It's great for the community. I guess I need to learn more about what this all was. It wasn't very well explained in this little form that they gave us. I really don't want to have backdoor neighbors if I could help it. I like looking at the pumpkins. I need to look at this a little bit more to see what's going to affect my backyard. I built a single-story home thinking I wasn't going to have any neighbors. And I wish well for them. I just don't know what to say. I'm just taking this all in. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. Lene Elkins. So I live in the other neighborhood across the way by the lake. So my family moved up here because we're in the neighborhood. My whole family lives up here. I've been a Northern Nevada resident for 35 years. I've been in Sparks for 22 years. So definitely seen the growth of Sparks, and you guys have done a fantastic job of really making sure that communities put first and everybody's well-being is put first. Building schools, building the infrastructure. Our brother-in-law is building the firehouse right there. His company that he works for, he's in charge of that. So again, you guys are always ahead of the game when it comes to make sure everything is there. Now we're moving into this, and it's a planned community, same as I knew this was a planned community whenever I bought another house there in that area, same as my sister, it's a planned community. Now you guys want to annex to add more houses in this community on a farm. So you guys are adding more houses to that community that's not even done. I mean, we're getting houses built everywhere, but again, we all knew when we bought in, planned community, we knew what it was. I knew what I was buying. They knew what they were buying. They knew what they were told. So you've gotten all of our money. Now you guys want to add in more houses in this planned community. So it's not a plan if you guys are annexing more land, right? It's not. You guys are annexing. You guys are adding stuff on that we as buyers were not told. There are a lot of places to buy in Sparks. You guys know this as the commissioners, right? You know this, right? We could all bought up on the hill. We could have all bought over there, but we said, oh, this is really beautiful. We've got new schools. Got new schools for the grandkids. I got a new grandkid. It's all beautiful over there. My family owns other properties. My sons own properties over there. Again, planned community. So when you guys want to change everything up and add more housing into what we have out there already, it's just, I don't know. I don't know where the community's at. I don't know where community gets put first when we've already spent our money to be in this community. Now you guys want to add more into it. So that's all. Just want to make sure that it's known.
Thank you. All right. Any more public comment on the annexation? Is that Sharon?
No, I'm not sharing.
No, this one here is for medium density.
Hi there, I'm Sharon Lampel. I also live in Stonebrook, and I want to start by saying Andelin Farms is a fabulous neighbor, and being the chair of the social committee of Stonebrook, they are great partners. It makes perfect sense for them to be annexed as part of Sparks. I would never think of calling it an island, but yes, it is. I really had comments about one of the other ones, so should I go out and come back? Okay. All right. There's one section of the plan that addresses a residential area being rezoned. When I moved in 4 years ago, I was told more houses would be built over there, so I wasn't surprised to hear that part. But it's being rezoned from low-density housing to intermediate-density housing. I don't know what intermediate density means, so if someone could clarify that. Also, if this area is being rezoned and we're getting more houses, and if any of you have driven up there, we're growing in leaps and bounds, traffic. Is there going to be a plan to address the northern part of Pyramid Way? Because it's really bad right now. I ran out of California because one of the reasons was traffic. So that was really my two concerns. What is intermediate density, and will we see a widening of Pyramid up by us? Thank you.
Any more public comment on this? Scott? do you want to address what intermediate and all that kind of housing is?
Share your closing public comment.
Oh, I will close public comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Scott Carey, Development Services Manager. Yeah, in response to Sharon's question, what is intermediate density residential? It is a traditional single-family residential. It's probably around the density of one dwelling unit for every 6,000 square feet. So for like a 1 acre site, that would be roughly 5 single-family. My math was correct. But so it's traditionally what's in your neighborhood, Sharon, I guess is the.
What we already have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's probably a better way of saying it. Sorry.
Thank you, Scott. All right. Commissioners, do we have any more questions? All right, so I'll address PCN-21-008/AX21000. And we had that for public comment. We closed public comment. Is there anyone else to speak on this at all? Or already closed it. All right. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion on 7.6 PCN 21-008/8X21-001.
Mr. Chair, I move to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the annexation request ANX 21-0001 associated with PCN 21-0008 based on findings A1 through A4 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in staff report.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Pritzo, a second by Commissioner Sperber. Commissioners, do we have any more comments on this?
I just want to say this annexation makes perfect sense. We should not have islands in the middle of the city anymore.
I will
I agree
second
that,
Commissioner Kramer's comments and just say that my niece loves it.
and I love Antelope
Immensely.
Farms as well, so I think that annexing this particular island makes perfect sense.
All right, we'll take a verbal vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to PCN 21-008/MPA 21-002. And I will entertain a motion for, oh, I got to open it up for public comment. That's right, each one individually. So I open this up for public comment. Does anybody want to make a comment on the comprehensive plan?
I don't know which one I'm commenting on.
Come up, state your name, and you got 3 minutes.
My name's Karen Gonzalez. I'm a resident of the Stonebrook development and lifetime resident of Reno, born and raised here. Also raising my family here, adore Antelope Farms, love what they're proposing to do. I do have questions and concerns about what this commercial piece looks like. And kind of to second Sharon's, we live right off of Stonebrook. I'm very concerned that is a 2-lane street. What does the additional traffic impact look like? Should that be a commercial center? What does that look like for our neighborhood?
Just on the commercial piece.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any more comments on that? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Washington. I am a resident of Sparks on the north side of Antelope Farms, and I fully support what Antelope Farms is doing. It may be challenging for some neighbors on the south end, especially where the annexation towards development would be. But with Stonebrook, I think in a previous display in February, they showed that the likelihood would be traffic circles to help slow down potential speeders, and also different ways to slow down the potential traffic flow along Stonebrook if it's developed all the way through. The other thing that hasn't really been talked about is what would be the development timeline? We look at Opio Ranch. Opio Ranch was sold 20 years ago, and it only began developing a few years back. So it may be that there's some time before the development actually takes place. So let's take that into consideration as well.
Thank you. All right, any more public comment? I will close public comment.
Here.
Um,
That's the two people that spoke, fill out a card for.
Yes. Can you, there we go. Jim, can we address their concerns?
If Chair, if you would like staff for the applicant, address questions I'd ask, you ask which ones you'd like them to address, and they'll do their best.
All right. Scott, would you address the commercial?
Sure. For the record, Scott Carey, Development Services Manager. With respect to the commercial, the vision is it would be 15 acres of commercial. We don't have a specific project at this time. If this handbook is approved, it would allow to put in place specific development standards for how that commercial would look and what could potentially go in there. But as we outlined in the staff report and attempted to in the presentation today, it's supporting commercial for the neighborhood as well as the farm too. We preliminarily kicked around with the applicant, maybe a restaurant with products from the farm, but also some other commercial services to go in conjunction with the farm as well too. One thing I would like to address, Mr. Chair, there's been a lot of public comment tonight about density and the concerns on the south end with respect to additional single-family residential. Under the current master plan land use designation, you can see that's the LDR, that's low-density residential. Those are typically larger single-family residentials, like 10,000 square foot lots. Under the current land use plan with that LDR on top of most of the farm, a total of 917 dwelling units could be constructed, future homes. With the proposed land use amendment, that density would go down significantly. With the intermediate density residential, although it's a little bit more intense than the LDR, we're looking at traditionally 10,000 square foot lots with the yellow, and the IDR, that intermediate density, that's the 6,000 square foot, a little bit smaller lots. The overall density with the proposed land use configuration would be 491 units. So the proposal would have significantly less homes as proposed.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions regarding these issues?
Thank you, Scott, for that clarification.
I have one question, Scott.
Sure.
On the commercial, or on the road with Stonebrook there. Is there a proposed to widen that or when they do build commercial there?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Scott Carey, Development Services Manager. We don't have a project at this time, Mr. Chair, but as outlined in the handbook, as well as what's intended with the rezone and comprehensive plan amendment, we are anticipating Stonebrook Parkway to go through. And that would be constructed to our regional road standards, so it would be a similar amount of lanes and with the landscaping and the sidewalks on both sides. That would be certainly something that this body would be asked to consider when a future tentative map comes in for the future single-family residential.
Thank you, Scott.
I have one more question,
Okay.
maybe comment. Scott, I know that we don't deal with Pyramid Highway, that is a state highway. That's not something that we deal with. But are there plans within the future, probably I'm going to say future, and that I use that term very loosely, because we know how long it's taken to get just that little stretch of road done. Are there plans to bring widening of Pyramid up to, say, La Posada in the next, I don't know, let's say 15 years? I mean, I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah,
If I may, Chair, as you said, Commissioner Kramer, and that is a road governed by NDOT
Yes,
in the
sir.
state of Nevada.
Yes, sir.
And we are in competitive funding times with Clark County as well.
Yes?
And however, if the public would like, they can go on RTC Washoe's website and they can see the plans for expansion of Pyramid Highway and the future phases. As residents may be aware, Phase 1 is coming closer to a completion. That goes to approximately Golden View. And there are future phases, including a phase from Disk Drive over to 395 in proximity to Dandini. I think that would be the best opportunity, Commissioner Kramer, for them to see the possible plan for Pyramid.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question of staff, Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Carey, should once the Planning Commission makes a recommendation on this, when would it go to the Sparks City Council?
Yeah, we are anticipating this item to be heard by the Sparks City Council on June 9th, Monday, June 9th. Procedurally, what will happen from here, this Planning Commission is providing a recommendation to the City Council on these items. The next step would be for the comprehensive plan amendment to be reviewed by the Regional Planning Commission. We're expecting to take that before that body at their April 24th meeting. Following that, the City Council will be asked to consider these 4 items looking at Monday, June 9th.
Thank you, Scott. All right. Commissioners, I'm going to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to adopt resolution number 243, adopting the Comprehensive Plan Land Use Amendment MPA 21-0002 associated with PCN 21-0008, amending the Comprehensive Plan Land Use designation for a 164.9 acre site located at 8100 Pyramid Way, APNs 528-030-131415 and 16 from low density residential LDR and open space OS to intermediate density residential IDR and commercial C and open space OS based on findings CP1 through CP4 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report.
Second the motion.
Holy man. I need a drink now.
That was a long one. Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Kramer, second by Commissioner Nieberline. All in favor?
Aye.
Hold on,
Aye.
hold on. Jump the gun. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion? Nope. All right. Let's all vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, public hearing PCN 21-008/RZ21-002. I will open this one up for public comment. Do we have any more public comment on this item? This is the rezone. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Cameron Andelin, Andelin Family Farm. I just wanted to make a comment to say thanks to the staff that we've been working with. They've been great, and appreciate you guys also hearing this. We're super excited about the future and feel like this is a great opportunity and a thing to happen to allow us to be able to do the farm and the events that we do into the future. And so, as my wife and I have been doing these events the last 15 years, we started thinking about how can this perpetuate beyond us, and so that we feel like this is really a big step in that whether it's our kids or our grandkids running it or somebody else, not that that's in the plan, but that it could be something that's like a gemstone of Sparks and a legacy that will be there for centuries to come. And so we're just really excited about it. And I wanted to say thanks to everybody that's been working with us on it. And thanks for you guys hearing it.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wish to speak on this? I see none. I'll close public comment. Commissioners, let's get there. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the rezoning request RZ1-0002 associated with PCN 21-0008 based on findings Z1 through Z3 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Pritzo, a second by Commissioner Kramer. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion on this? All right, I'll take a verbal vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. All right, we're moving on to public hearing PCN 21-008/PD 23-003. This is the handbook. Does anybody from the public have any comment on this item? I see none. I'll close public comment. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
Oh, I'll go ahead and read it. I'll take the long,
Good on ya.
I'll take the big ones, guys. I move to forward a recommendation of tentative approval of the proposed plan development handbook associated with the planning case number PCN 21-0008 to the City Council for Antelope Family Farms, adopting findings PD1 through PD7 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report. The tentative approval includes that the applicant shall file the application for the final approval for the plan development within 1 year from the date of the City Council granting tentative approval of the plan development handbook. Due to the nature of the tentative plan development, the Planning Commission does not recommend that the City Council require a bond at this point in time, as stated in NRS 278A.490.
I'll second that.
All
Wow.
right. We have a motion by Commissioner Kramer, a second by Commissioner Sperber. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion on these items?
I just have one quick comment, Mr. Chair. I just want to commend the work that staff and the applicant have done on this. I think it's, very cool that they've been able to find a way to basically create a new land use so that we can keep this very unique amenity in our city. And just I want to say very, good job.
Amen.
Yeah.
I second that.
I third that.
I second that.
Yeah.
I also think that it's unique in the fact that we can work with a landowner to develop a specific type of handbook for a very special piece of property that brings a lot of joy to a lot of people in this community. And so I commend everybody that's done all the work on this. I know that it hasn't been easy, and 4 years is a long time to get this done, but good job all the way around for everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Kramer.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
this is Rodrigo Elkins. I'd like to say how much I appreciate that the city has worked hard to continue this legacy that the Antelope Farms has brought to our community and sustained for all of these years for all of our families to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I will entertain a motion on that.
We already did
Oh, we already did that.
Please don't make me read it again. Oh my God.
So,
Don't make me do that.
all in favor?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. All right, now we're announcements, general business. Comments?
That's the header, Chair. I think the next item is actually a public comment.
Oh, so do we have any public that wants to make any comments at this time? Yes, sir. Please. Hello. Oh.
Well, I'm gonna make it on Pecan Press for that. My name is Hunter Rand. I live in Ward 2. And I will say I'm a public relations professional. I direct live TV. I'm a filmmaker. So kind of in a weird position. Just generally, doesn't apply, it might apply to Anilin. You're very nice people. A lot of the things that come before you have lobbyists involved that are making $50,000 a month. My dad lives in Ward 5 and encountered one. And I was disheartened because I wanted to get involved and help my dad and help his neighborhood. And the first thing that happened is I caught this lobbyist in a lie. He said he was an engineer. And I said, no, you're not. I've worked with you before. We've been paid by the same people. And you're a liar. And I find that that happens a lot, that there's a lot of items that come before this commission and that come before the city council where there's these lobbyists and attorneys involved, right? Capitalism. And what's disheartening to me is that lobbyists threaten my family. Not a threat of violence, but a threat of, we will push this through no matter how much money it takes. And it breaks my heart because every campaign of opposition is absolutely grassroots. It's the people fighting up here 3 minutes at a time. And it just breaks my heart because a lot of the decisions that are made put money before people. And I wasn't here for the whole meeting, but I listened to every single public comment and hearing people buying their homes in, frankly, one of the most beautiful cities in the country. And making a decision, and then 4 years later, things change. When I bought my house on York Way, I mean, we strategically bought it. We looked at over 100 homes. We made 40 offers on 35 homes. And one of the questions my wife and I always asked ourselves, because our realtor didn't know, was what is the capacity for our surroundings to change? Eminent domain. Is there a gas main that hasn't been maintained that's going to kill us and kill my neighbors? And you chuckle, but that happened. PG&E, California. Happens all the time. I mean, I know the guy that owns a house in Spanish Springs at the end of the airport that got hit by a plane, Mike Bowers. Why did that get approved? And I know that's not the city of Sparks, but decisions like that are being made. And no one is saying anything outside of my neighbors here in Sparks, and it's heartbreaking. And I wish that there was a bigger conversation about people before profits. You know, the casino development, absolutely there's going to be more calls for service to Sparks PD and Sparks Fire. I promise you, just statistically, there's going to be a murder there. There's going to be stabbings that wouldn't be there otherwise because it's just not that kind of business right now. And it's heartbreaking to see that even if you vote against it, then the developers just sue and get to do whatever they want anyways, like the city of Reno. So what's the point of all of this? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to make a public comment? I see none. I'll close public comment. And we'll move on to staff comments and announcements.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to recognize Shauna Halterman in our crowd tonight as our new Human Resources Director and has endured the entire Planning Commission meeting, so thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Got a good one.
Thank you, Chair.
You bet. Commissioners, do you have any comments or announcements or anything? No, sir. All right. Meeting adjourned.
Welcome to